Haha, good morning all. Good morning. Oh, are we live? Yep, good, we're ticking. The numbers are ticking. Excellent, excellent, excellent. We're a bit late. Um, sorry about that today. I actually overslept, so... um, so yeah. Wow. It's a bit foggy at the moment, as normal. Really cold, hence the hat this morning. The llama hat is out in full display today. Made with real llama wool. It's very, very warm, I'll tell you that, and I'm glad for it today because it is cold. I don't know if you can... yeah, have I done something with my hair? No. No, this is just my... like I say, it's my lovely, lovely, lovely warm llama hat. So... yeah, so thumbs up for the headgear today. But yeah, I got this from my friend. Just a quick side story. This time last year, she went... oh, good morning from Hamburg there, from Jane. So yeah, she went this time last year. She went on a tour of South America. And she was there very, very early in the pandemic, to a point where she and a couple of other British tourists were essentially stuck in Bolivia. Not Bolivia, Peru. Was it Peru? Yeah, Peru. One of those countries. I think it was Peru. But yeah, they were stuck in Peru for a good almost 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah, and they were stuck out there. This is where this came from. So she's back. She got back. She managed to get back to the UK, all right. So that's good. Oh, good morning there. Oh. Another train. So I think as almost become the norm, I think we need to talk about America. Yeah, someone say I should have worn my bowler hat. I might wear it one day. It's not like the thing is, my bowler hat's not really like a walking hat. But yeah. It looks like I'm on my way home. No, like I said, this is the wonderful thing. It's just such a warm hat. But yeah, the American election. I genuinely expected last night for Biden's speech last night that he did. I genuinely expected him to say, yeah, that's it, it's pretty much over, it's very clear who the winner is. And even now, it's very clear who the winner is. He only needs one more state, and he's passed 270. So yeah, it's very clear that he's won. Very clear that he's won. Is that a hat from a Welsh brothel? No, it's my llama hat. You can get a good look. There you go. But yeah, it's very, very clear Biden's won. I mean, he's clearly going to win Nevada. Very clearly going to win Nevada. He's pulled, I think, far enough ahead, at least I think he has, pulled far enough ahead in Pennsylvania to, well, essentially win Pennsylvania as well. The other thing that's really interesting, of course, and we'll see which way that goes, is Georgia, because he's ahead by something like 400 votes over Donald Trump. So almost instantly, straight away, it's, Biden's won. Unfortunately, I'm not sure it's the case if they're going to win the Senate. I'd really hope, to be honest, that they do, because then they can get a lot more done. Oh, good morning from Birmingham there. Good morning, welcome. You join us in a very, I don't know how if you can see it, a very foggy Yorkshire day. So it's very clear that, to be honest, Biden's won. And even if, I think, if Trump somehow gets Pennsylvania, North Carolina, which I think he's going to win, and Georgia, even if the counts do somehow end up going his way over there, he still won't have enough votes to be able to win, to get that to that 270 mark. However, Biden, like I say, only needs one more state. He just needs Nevada. I'm pretty sure he crosses the line. Oh, someone from the Pacific Northwest joining us. So good morning. I'm sure it's been a very interesting time. Definitely waking up in America every morning, trying to find out just what went on last night, or a couple of, glances at the news every day. So it's, yeah, definitely interesting times in America. Trump has already threatened, and, Republicans in some states are already going to, like their lawyers, to try and essentially get mail-in ballots thrown out. Which, if you saw the absolutely hilarious video, you have Trump voters outside one of the polling stations shouting, "Stop the vote! Stop the vote! Stop the vote!" And then, as soon as Biden pulled ahead, as soon as Biden pulled ahead, they changed the chant to "Count the vote! Count the votes!" It's, you can't make that up. That's just comedy that just can't, it's undescribable just how fantastic that really was. So yeah, I genuinely don't know what's going to happen here, because you could have Trump in a very interesting situation where he just refuses to concede the election, and he'll go on and go off about, Biden's about 4,000 ahead in Georgia. And that's fantastic if it is. In fact, it's worth pointing out, because a lot of people are like, how did this happen in Georgia? Georgia is like a classic Republican state. So how on earth has Georgia gone blue? Well, I was watching the Majority Report last night, and one of their regulars they have on, I can't remember what it's called, damn it, I can't remember his name. But yeah, one of their regulars is from Georgia. And he basically said, look, the reason why we're doing so well is because grassroots progressives in Georgia have been going out during the pandemic, getting people to vote, getting people registered with their mail-in ballots, making sure that they're all ready essentially. And this is what has turned out. We've had an absolutely huge turnout for the Democrats in Georgia. And it just goes to show you that when progressives, can, get out there and work and, campaign properly in a really good way, it's even possible to get out and get enough votes out there for even a traditional, red state like Georgia to turn blue. So I hope, definitely hope that the Democrats do pick up on that. And follow that pattern, because they could see huge wins possibly in other areas. Like I was hoping this time around Texas would turn blue, but of course it didn't this time. Trump had about, I think it was like a 7-point lead, 6-point lead, something like that. What is that hat? It's a llama hat. For those of you who haven't seen, this is my llama hat made with real llama wool. It is incredibly warm. I'm thankful for it today. Very thankful for it today, because it is absolutely freezing. I don't know if you can see, it's like, there's literally fog everywhere. So yeah, very interesting times, definitely in America. And it's just a case of we're going to have to take a bit of a detour. The cows are in the way. I'm just going to have to give them a bit of a wide berth. This is where you can't see them in the mist, and just like, oh, there's a herd of cows here. Don't know if you can see them in the background there. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen here, because if Trump does refuse to concede the election, what happens? I generally don't know what happens. I mean, like I say, American politics is not my, it's not my forte. But it's, it is the case of what happens. Biden has cleared it, but Trump will continue to say that the election was stolen from him by illegal votes, even though it's perfectly legal mail-in ballots. And it's been those ballots that have been causing all this mess, I think, because obviously the more the Democrats are more worried about certainly the coronavirus than most Republicans are. So we've got a very, very, and I think that's what you've seen. You've seen this on election night. This surge from Trump voters going out to vote, and then essentially just lose steam. And like I say, it's led to that hilarious video, if you've seen it, of all these MAGA supporters outside like the polling stations chanting "Stop the vote" because they're ahead, and then as soon as Biden gets ahead of them, they immediately change the tune to count the votes. I still can't get over that. That's just unreal. It really is. It's absolutely unreal. But it just goes to show you just how much damage Trump has really done to the American system. No, it's not my bowler hat, Mal. This is my llama hat. And I've said it before. I said it last week. Even if Trump goes, Trumpism will still be there in the party. That's the worrying thing. Trump has shown that, if you say racist things and push a very racist narrative, you can capture so much, of quite a racist vote in America. And we saw that in our own Brexit referendum back in 2016. I know a guy who he was from Manchester, but he voted obviously to leave, and now he regrets his vote, and he even says he worries that he made and sided with racists, and he's really worried about that for himself. But that's just how things go. And that's the worrying thing. But like I say, I really don't know what happens if Trump just refuses to leave the White House. And, I think it was being said a lot, the Trump tantrum is now being thrown. I think I agree. Trump will absolutely throw a tantrum. And there's no way in hell is Trump going to do like a concession speech. He will not concede. And in democracy, we've talked about this before, but the peaceful transference of power is a core tenet of any democracy. And yeah, this could get interesting really, really quickly, and I just don't know what's going to happen. You just really, really don't know what's going to happen. Of course, you have, I think, 3 QAnon supporters obviously got into the Senate as well. So even with Trump gone, expect some absolutely crazy scenes on the Senate floor of these QAnoners just, saying the most absolutely ridiculous stuff. But there you go. The other silver lining to this, of course, is, of course, back in 2016 when Trump entered office, he had something like 16 lawsuits following him. Now, of course, when he became president, you aren't allowed to sue the president, but all these lawsuits are essentially just sitting, waiting for him as soon as he leaves the White House. To the point of, you got the New York District Attorney who has said he's looking forward to getting the first crack at Trump, because there are all these lawsuits that are following him, and those are going to produce some revelations. I'll tell you that now. Those are going to be fun. And it's I really don't know what else to say about America. It's just so crazy that it's very clear Biden's won. Like, he has won, and just Trump will just refuse to concede, but we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. And I don't know what a lot of the Republicans are going to, try and get these votes overturned. But you'll notice that they're only going to do it in states that are turning red, not in states like Florida, which they won. It's only the places where Biden won are they saying shenanigans were taking place. What about these Republican states? Are we saying that we should, go and investigate places like Florida, which were close? And I'm pretty sure there were other states that were close as well that could be, that the Republicans should probably investigate. So it just goes to show you this massive hypocrisy when it comes to the Republicans. But that's just the case of where it is in America, unfortunately. The Republican Party have just they've lost the plot essentially, and it's insane. Will the military be called on to remove him? That's the interesting question. It probably will be. But like I say, we have to hope that that's not the case, because who knows what could happen, So something from Bakura here. So regardless of who the Republicans' nominee or who the incumbent president is, Biden or Harris, in 2042, I think the Republicans will win again in 2024. You're not wrong on that. But the interesting thing there, Bakura, is you could see Trump run again. Because as far as I am aware, there is nothing stopping Trump going for the Republican nomination again. As far as I'm aware, there is nothing stopping him going for that nomination again. And he will cakewalk it. He will absolutely cakewalk it. There is no Republicans. There is not a single Republican, especially the nominees, or Republicans that could stand against him. It would be insane. But yeah, that's the situation you could have. You could have Donald Trump could essentially run again in 2024. You could also maybe have his son Eric or Don Jr. could run, or even Ivanka could run. What if he gets convicted? Well, yeah, that's when he'll probably get stopped. But like I say, with that many lawsuits against him, all he has to do is settle out of court. And then, he doesn't get, convicted. But it's one of those things we'll have to see. Yeah, a felon can't run for president, but, it's, Trump is, he's had so many lawsuits against him already. But again, we'll just have to see. It's just an absolute crazy time in America, and you don't know which way or whatever's going to happen. It's absolutely worrying. If I was an American, I don't know how I'd be feeling today. I generally don't. It would be absolutely insane. But yeah. But prepare, if you remember back in 2012, where Obama won, and if you remember all the outcrying of the Republicans back then about how the world was going to end, Obama's going to come for the guns and whatnot. Expect to see that, but on even more steroids, I think. It's, yeah. It's going to be crazy. Gonna be crazy. Oh, yeah, the other the other thing, because obviously we have to talk about Reform UK today at some point, because I think this is something we have to keep an eye on, that we have to see what this does, and we have to put forward our own reform movement for the UK. This is why, if you haven't done already, go join the Labour for PR movement and essentially start trying to push Labour on their next manifesto to get proportional representation put in, because I've said this before, but if we get I can't say it, proportional representation put in, it will absolutely change the face of British politics, regardless whether it's implemented in the House of Lords or even in House of Commons. So Trump is apparently wanted in America for state crimes, not just federal crimes. And the president can only pardon federal crimes, not state crimes. Interesting. Interesting to know. Like I say, American politics isn't my particular expertise. So thank you for informing me. It's always good to know, as they say. The more you know. So, but yeah, crazy times in America. And of course, we've said this before, but obviously Nigel Farage was out there bigging up his boy Trump. And I don't know if you saw my post yesterday. Can we give song requests? No, I don't do song requests. Yeah, New York State General might ask Biden's Secretary of State to seize his passport because he's a flight risk. That's true. I would not put it past Trump to do a runner. I would not put it past him. But yeah, it's absolutely crazy. It's unbelievable, again, what's happening in America. But I just don't know what else more to say about it, really. Like I say, it's very obvious that Biden's won. And like I say, I think it sounds like someone said that Biden now has a 4,000 lead in Georgia. I think someone said this morning when I said, but like I say, yesterday it was like 6 to 400 votes he had a lead by. So, and like I say, this just goes to show the absolute sterling work that progressives in Georgia have actually done to go and get out and get people out voting. So it just goes to show you that, movements like that can work really, really well. Of course, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about as well. There was someone from the Senate who lost, and she, in her infinite wisdom, decided to blame progressives for her loss. So I don't know how, progressives were to blame for her loss. It doesn't make sense, but AOC responded in an absolutely fantastic put down of her. I'm going to paraphrase what she said, but if you go to her Twitter account, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to see it. So you had this Democrat senator who literally, obviously blamed progressives for her loss. And AOC turned around and went, sorry, you can't blame progressives for your loss. And she did a deep dive into like her campaign and what she did. And it turns out her campaign spent 12k. Her campaign spent 12k on TV adverts and not a single dollar on social media. And that's insane. That you're running for office and you wouldn't spend a single dollar on social media. That's insane, especially during a pandemic. And she did a deep dive on other Democrats and found out that it was the same. That a lot of these, older Democrats just weren't spending any money on social media. Not only that, but the Democratic Convention, or the DNC, had refused to work with specific companies who had come forward and said, let us help you, with your social media strategy. Let us help run adverts for you. They refused to work with them because they'd been working with progressives. And that's crazy. That's insane. But, yeah. I think it's, it just seems to be that in certain elections, people just take the wrong message from this, because it's very clear that in states where there was a progressive candidate running and progressive, voices were helping champion that candidate, they were very, very clearly winning and winning very clear leads. One day we will see AOC, I think, one day run for president. I think one day. Who knows when it'll be, but not yet. But yeah, it just boggles the mind. I mean, we saw this with Corbyn recently, and of course the last election. And it was because a lot of leftists in the UK were essentially trying to make Starmer lose. That's ridiculous. Oh, what do you think of the Manchester fence being torn down by students? Can't blame them, really. I mean, they were told, go to university, it'll be safe. That's what the government told them. Many of them also fell victim to the whole, results fiasco as well. And then when they got there, obviously COVID started breaking out, which anyone could have told you. We told you, I told you this. As soon as the students started going back, I said, expect a rate in COVID. In fact, I know a number of people, and they all have one thing in common. They all have kids, or they know someone in a school, and they're getting it through that. So that's how it's currently spreading. It's spreading through the kids, and especially through these people. And it's insane that this just goes to show you the lack of foresight into the Tory planning of this. Their idea was, oh yeah, we'll let the students go to university, and then we'll just lock them up so that they can't come home for Christmas. because it's pretty obvious that as soon as those kids go home, students go home for Christmas, there is going to be another rise in COVID cases. And this is because the government just did not plan for it. You know, most of the online uni courses, most of the uni courses are being done online on Zoom, which for some courses works really well, others it doesn't. And if the government had done that, I mean, there was lots of students, you've seen them on the news, who were just going around and saying, if I knew this was going to happen, I wouldn't have even bothered coming. I wouldn't have even bothered paying for a dorm this year. I'd have just stayed at home and done everything online. And then, you know, some of them have been in absolute terrible situations of where they've been forced and locked in their dorm rooms, and they haven't had enough food. So this is where you've got them, you know, writing pictures on their messages on their windows to the outside of like saying, send help and send food. And then you've got the things of, they're having parties with each other. Well, what do you think they're going to do? Like this is pretty obvious. You know, you put a bunch of 18-year-olds in a building. Do you think they're not going to mingle? Even with the virus, they're still going to, you know, go out and talk to each other. You know, at that age, a lot of people are still really very sociable with people. So it's, you know, once again, it's just a complete lack of government foresight on this. That's the only way you can really put it. So the second, obviously, Manchester put up fences, of course they were going to take them down, because they don't want to feel like they're living, you know, in a prison. Or being, you know, many of them are hoping to go home for Christmas, but that's going to be in itself a disaster. Because if this lockdown, you know, this is what doesn't make sense. Furlough has been extended to March, which, fantastic move from Rishi, but why didn't he do this when it was very, very obvious that COVID was not over? So once again, yet another classic example of Tory short-sightedness. And we don't know if in March it's going to decrease as the last furlough scheme in, or it's just going to end at the end of March. So come April, that scheme just ends. It is just unbelievable. But I'll tell you what, a lot of businesses, it saved a lot of businesses, so we'll give him that at least, because a lot of businesses were looking at what was coming up and just going, we don't know how we're going to survive. So at least he's saved some businesses. Of course, not a lot of businesses are going to survive, unfortunately. I know a lot of businesses in my area that, you know, haven't survived. You know, I said before, in March I was working for a company. I went on furlough, and of course, as the furlough scheme started to wind down, they were like, we can't continue to pay you. And you know, this was a firm of 25 people that went down to 5. And I hope they survive. I really hope they do. You know, and I don't blame my boss for the position he was put in. It was an unbelievable position he was in, but I can't blame him. You know, if I was in a similar position, I would have probably done the same thing. You know, not a lot he could have done, but there you go. Like I say, I do hope he survives. But like I say, a lot of industries, they're still screwed. They're still so screwed because the government just isn't helping them at all. And it's absolutely pathetic when you get, I think it was Matt Hancock, who came out and said, oh yeah, we're the most generous nation in all of Europe. And you look at France, you look at the Netherlands, Germany, they're far more generous. Far, far, far more generous. And they're like, not only providing like furlough support and stuff like that, and many of the Europeans have extended their furlough well into next year, but they're also like providing relief support, you know, programs to help, you know, people who go unemployed, for retraining. You know, there's help and relief for, you know, businesses, just general support that we just don't have over here, that our government just will not provide. And all that on top of Brexit, which we've discussed before, that the pandemic is worse because resources are being diverted to Brexit. And it's just absolutely insane. Like, on Friday I did my video about AstraZeneca. AstraZeneca, if you take out all the politics and you just look at this from a very simple business standpoint, it does not make sense for AstraZeneca to stay in the UK. And they are one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies, not only in the world but in Europe, to a point where their income provides 1% of our GDP. And that's insane. That's one company being here providing 1% of our GDP, because it does not make sense for them to develop new medicines for a market of only 65 million people and then not have it approved in the European market of over 550 million people. But they can move to Europe, not only have full access to the European markets and get their medicines approved, but we've said that we will accept any more European medicines and recommendations. So instantly, not only does AstraZeneca, if it moves to Europe, have access to the European market, but it has instant access because it can get its medicines tested in Europe. It has full access to the British market as well, where if it stays in Britain, it doesn't have that. So from a business point of view, a pure business point of view, it does not make sense for AstraZeneca to stay in the UK. And there are many, many other businesses in the UK that are looking at that going, makes more business sense to be in Europe. And remember, AstraZeneca, 1% of our GDP. 1% of our GDP. And yet you have Boris risking our entire economy on an industry that is worth less than 1%, and that's, of course, the fishing industry. But, you know, there you go. That's once again the wild state of Brexit that we're in. It's unbelievable. You know, it's you know, what do you do? You know, what do you do? It's unbelievable. I mean, someone said there, yeah, move out of the UK. It's simple. Like I say, because we've had this discussion before, but I don't speak. Yeah, it made investments in Poland. Yeah, of course it did. Because it does not see the UK as a viable place to do business anymore. And this is what we have said, and especially on my channel especially, we have said right from the very beginning. There is no point a business being here. I mean, just what we went through there of pure business sense. Just like humour me for a second. From what you just heard there. If you were AstraZeneca, would you keep your operation in the UK, which has about 20... No, it's what was it now? Over 2,000 people employed, and at least something like 39,000 people who are also to do with like AstraZeneca's supply chain as well. So that's a lot of jobs. That's almost about 40,000 jobs if AstraZeneca goes to Europe, which ultimately we will do. Because just from a pure business sense of what we just discussed there, it just makes far more sense to be in Europe. And a lot of businesses are just going to see that exactly that way. From Nissan, I mean the Nissan plant. This is what a lot of people don't understand. People call it the Nissan plant. It's not just the Nissan plant. It's the Renault plant as well. You know, France has a big stake in that factory. And, you know, and Nissan will just wind down, as someone said there, have you made a video about that? Yeah. But we've said that. I made that video about 2 years ago now. About that topic. Of Nissan and Honda and Nissan leaving. Because as we said before, it's not just Nissan that's going to be there. You know, it's part owned by Renault as well. And of course, it's, you know, infamous for its, you know, just-in-time, you know, delivery system for all its components that it needs to make the cars. You know, it's... Where do you go from there, really? It really is. But like I say, you know, it's not just, you know, the car industry, and, you know, AstraZeneca that's going to move as well. It's going to be other businesses that are going to move as well. I mean, you've got all the banking industry that's going to move as well, because Brussels has made very clear. Brussels has made very clear announcements that it intends to challenge, you know, London for being a financial service sector. And with the EU's power, they will do that. That's what they will do. And of course, if you think of like the financial capitals of Frankfurt, Amsterdam, definitely Paris as well. Yeah, London doesn't stand a chance. London does not stand a chance against that combined power. And businesses in the financial services industry and sector are going to lose their passporting rights, which means that for them, it makes, once again, financial sense to be in Europe. I mean, we've always discussed this, you know, when it comes to talking about Brexit, from the, not only just like the political side of what it means politically, and, you know, our loss of like soft power in Europe, and losing all that influence that we had in Europe, you know, getting to help make rules and having say on those rules, we lose so much more, obviously, than that. They've then got, you know, the simple business sense. And as we just explained there, if you were AstraZeneca, where are you going to go? You're going to stay in the UK and not have access to a market of over 55 550 million people to just 66 million people, or you're going to move to Europe, not only have access to Europe's market, but Britain's market as well. That's the state we're in. Difficult to say it any other way, really. So we're coming up to our wonderful halfway point. So this is my my moment to to promote my channel. So if you are new to the channel, welcome. Please do hit that subscribe button. Of course, if you are here as well, please do hit that like button as well. It helps out get more people into the chat. And of course, we have better conversations with more people in. So that's fantastic. And of course, down below, you'll see links to my Patreon page, as well as my one-off donation link called Buy Me a Coffee. So thank you very much to the people who do support me that way. Your support is very, very much appreciated. Thank you to all my Patreon supporters. Thank you for all the people who've bought me coffee throughout all my time doing this. Thank you very much. So that's my my shilling done for today. But let's get on to the topic at hand today. Because, as some of you have just pointed out, our Good Morning Walk today is the Good Morning Walk and Reform UK. So, first of all, Farage has been over in America today, and I think this has really refreshed his appetite for being in politics. But as many of us had said before, Farage isn't just going to go away like that. Yeah, he was going to go on this year on the speaking circuit for America and make a whole lot of money, basically doing a victory lap. Now, he's been denied that because of Brexit. It's fantastic. And of course, the thing about the speaker circuit is it's very, very time sensitive. So even if he tries to do it again next year, he ain't going to make as much money doing that. Oh, someone asked a question. How much have they paved over Dover to make parks for lorries? Probably quite a bit at the moment. Probably quite a bit. Yeah. It's absolutely crazy, but that's where we are. Anyway, it's going to just soak in this wonderful atmosphere. I'm generally so lucky to live in Yorkshire. Generally so lucky. I don't talk about living in Yorkshire quite a lot, but you know what? Days like today, you know what? It might be cold, but you know what? Lovely countryside. Just have a look. There we go. Lovely, lovely Yorkshire. So, Farage has been over there. And I think he really has. And well, it's very obvious because he submitted to change the name of the Brexit Party to the Electoral Commission. So it's going to take about 6 months before it takes effect. But very clearly, Farage is going to be targeting lockdown. He's going to try and, get people to vote for him based on that. And we've got the worrying thing of Farage's plan all along was to move the Conservative Party more to the right. And obviously with UKIP and even the Brexit Party, he has effectively done that. Indeed, his entire model, I found out recently, which makes so much more sense when you look into this, his entire model for pushing the, not only the, the UKIP Brexit Party next the Reform Party. Does Reform UK mean independence for Yorkshire? If not, it's just an empty phrase. True, true, son of Viking. True. What we need to really do is, and I'm sure you'll agree, son of Viking, we need to reform the Danelaw. The Danelaw is the only true independent country in the UK that can make a difference. We're going to go sack Wessex. We're going to conquer Mercia. And we'll raid across the border into Scotland. This will be the true Viking revival we've always sought. So reform the Danelaw. Unity, and we'll reform as well with Norway, and I'm sure Norway will love that. Plus, we'll be back in the European Union-ish. So, thumbs up for the Danelaw. Oh. So yeah, the other funny thing was that Farage, I don't know if you heard, Farage put a £10,000 bet on Donald Trump to win the election. He put a £10,000 bet on Donald Trump to win the election. So it's very likely, Viking hat next week, probably. He put a £10,000 bet on Donald Trump to win for the, that's fantastic. Because he's going to lose £10,000 by the looks of it. So, Nigel, it's not a good year for Nigel. It really isn't. But, Nigel Farage, the man of the people, who can just casually drop £10,000 on Donald Trump. True man of the people there. And I just realised someone donated. That's Stop Karaoke. Thank you very much, Stop Karaoke, for donating. Good morning to you as well. Oh yes, you can also support the channel through super chats as well. I don't really mention that often, but that is an option that you can do. So yeah, absolutely. And we need to pay very close attention to what happens with Reform UK, because this is going to be an very evident effect to try and push the Conservatives even more to the right. So if you think they're bad now, just wait. Oh yeah, and of course Nigel's already got his EU passport, which is, again, that height of hypocrisy. So, he's done this, but we've always said that Brexit's going to fail, and this is going to cause a lot of anger in the UK. So this is not only just an attempt to try and get people to rally against the lockdown. This is also going to feed into that anger about Brexit. But we have to be ready to point out, this is what Nigel wanted, guys. The reason why you're in such a bad shape, the reason why the UK is doing so badly, is because this is what Nigel wanted. He said that Brexit would make the UK better. Hasn't made the UK better for any of you. And yet here he is now, probably going to be going on continuous talks about how, it's the EU's fault for the situation that we're in. It's Boris's fault for, you know, the situation they're in. They've done awful. But, you know, if you vote for me and my guys, we'll make it better, which it won't, because we've talked about this numerous times before. Whenever you look at the UKIP manifesto, it is just a straight up, and always was, just a straight up copy and paste job of the Tory manifesto, just with more right-wing extremes put in. Just that was the game. And I found out recently that this is very much based, if you want to go look into them yourselves, on what a far-right group in Canada did. They made a group in Canada to essentially push the Conservatives from being a lot more left-leaning to a lot more right-leaning, to a fact that they even joined. They no longer exist now because they joined with that Conservative Party. So this really does seem to be what, you know, Nigel's end goal is just to push the UK into being, you know, a right-wing haven of this low-tax, low-regulation country that we've heard so much talk about before. You know, Singapore on the Thames, because that's who it benefits. Only benefits if you're living in London. Oh, there's a runner and he's running through the cows. Oh. I think they were a bit spooked by that. But he's got through. Cows are a bit bemused by that. And yeah, it's absolutely. This is his aim and his goal, and the reason why it's called Singapore on the Thames is because it's the only place that will benefit will be London. And of course, only the rich will benefit because it'll be low taxes for them, which is fantastic news for them, bad news for us, because that means less public services for us, less people, you know, to support on benefits and things like that. And you do just less services for us overall, and more privatisation of services. We're already seeing moves by the Conservative government to try and take social care away from councils. Minsk on the Thames, more likely. Yeah, probably will be. Like I say, I did a video this week on how the Tories are after our electoral reform. So if you want more information about how we can reform our electoral system, then absolutely go and watch that video, because I pretty much, we were going through it, and the reason why I did it was because I pretty much agreed on everything with it. I was like, you have to go and read that. So if you do go and watch a video on my channel this weekend, go and watch that one, because I can't stress enough just how much we need to protect the independence of the Electoral Commission, and especially get some electoral reform through to help, well, balance out this dark money that's been coming into our politics and is going to affect our elections quite a bit. Anyway, someone did ask a question there. Oh, too far. So that's from Mrs. Nomad. So I have a question. If America does elect Biden/Harris, does that mean that the UK is alone without any friends and trading partners? Yes. Yes, that is true. It is very clear that Biden will pretty much go on an apology tour next year, especially to Europe. And, you know, Biden was part of the Obama administration, and, you know, the Obama administration had basically just said, yeah, you're not going to be at the front of the queue when it comes to a trade deal. And especially doubly so if we're seen to be destroying the Irish peace process. which at this point we pretty much are. So there ain't, there ain't a chance. There ain't a chance that we're going to get a trade deal from the US. Just impossible. Impossible from the word go. Oh yeah, well, Biden has won. Sorry, yeah. Yeah, you are right. Biden has pretty much won. It's just Trump won't concede. And that's the worrying thing. You know, what happens if a president doesn't concede? What happens? You know, the worrying thing is if, all those Trump militias start to surround the White House. That becomes, that becomes very scary very fast. Someone else has a question here. Pale Horse. With furlough being extended till March, will COVID be used as an excuse to cover over Brexit for job losses, etc.? Yes. Yes, it absolutely will. The Brexiteers have been very clear and very open about this, that they're quite happy because, Brexit was harming our economy to a point where our economy during COVID, we have had a double hit on this. Ever since 2016, our economy was slowing down and down more and more and more because businesses wanted to know what we were going to do. But of course, the Conservatives haven't a clue what they're going to do because this is just classic Tory short-sightedness. So they are absolutely elated that COVID came along because now they can blame all their, all this failure that's going to be next year, all this failure that's going to happen, and they are going to be desperate to try and prove that Brexit is a success in any way, shape or form they can. And we saw that just last week with the soy sauce debacle. So, everything will be blamed on COVID and the EU because of course it will, and they'll just look like idiots for blaming the EU, and they're just going to blame it all on COVID. And they've been very open about that fact, that they will just blame it on COVID when it's not. Our economy has taken the worst hit out of all of Europe. Why has that been? It's because of Brexit as well. So absolutely, they will put all the blame of this mess on COVID and not Brexit. But there you go. Anyway, who's this? Another question. Prinny Bird. Trump does not want to concede. That isn't a law. Once the election is certain in December, Trump will not be able to hold office after the 1st to the 20th. The Secret Service will have to escort him out. Yeah, it's not that. It's what if, these militias that have proven very, very aggressive towards Trump essentially want to, defend Trump and keep him in office. Because, they believe, like Trump believes, that the election was stolen from him by illegal votes. It's a very, very dangerous moment in American democracy. A very dangerous moment. And I think a lot of people really do not want to acknowledge that fact. Just how dangerous a moment this really is. But, the quicker everyone realises that Biden's won, like it would be fantastic if all the media organisations just came out in one voice and just went, yeah, we're calling it for Trump. Not Trump, we're calling it for Biden. Biden's won. End of story. If that could happen, and if, the media can do that and get together and do that, that's it. That is essentially it. It's game over, and this will put a lot of this yeah, the Secret Service will have a heavy job because, Trump is the most, I think, overweight president since, was it Tate? No, not Tad. Taft, that's it. Since President Taft. So, yeah. So, yeah, we need to acknowledge that it is a very dangerous moment. But, somewhere there's a fantastic article. I'm going to have to try and dig it out, but it's too long to read on the channel. But there's an absolutely fantastic channel where a group of people war-gamed this out of what would happen if Trump conceded. And you could get a fantastic scenario because, remember, Trump is the commander-in-chief of the US Army taking on the National Guard. Like I say, I'll have to find it somewhere, but it's a interesting article, makes some interesting points. I hope it doesn't happen. I really hope it doesn't happen, obviously, because you don't want that to happen. Like I say, ideally, it would be fantastic if the counts come out, all these lawsuits that the Republicans are trying to do to essentially remove votes lose. They haven't got a case, so it's not very likely they're going to win in these cases. So we've just got to hope that that's the case and that happens, and that Trump supporters, rather than take to the streets with their guns, stay at home and just cry bitter, salty tears. That's what we're going to hope for. Because, quite frankly, the other option just isn't worth thinking about. Really isn't. But as always, we are coming to the end of our time together today. Thank you all for joining me. So before we go, we will normally do our little wonderful question and answer sections, even though I have been answering questions. So if you've got any more questions, do either super chat them in, or put them at me and send me your questions in. I'll be very happy to go through any questions you might have about stuff we've covered today or stuff we haven't covered today. And be nice to all wind down to today's morning walk, as always. But yeah, I am. The other interesting thing is as a lot of people have said, that come January, Trump will probably lose his Twitter account. And if you think, Trump's mad about losing the election, imagine how mad he is going to be losing his Twitter account. Oh, so first question here from Phil. Okay, this is the final crunch week. Final prediction for deal or no deal. I think it's going to be a deal, but I think it's going to be very known what we call a skinny deal, which is only certain industries are going to be covered, and essentially it's going to be a very, very, very bad deal. That is in no doubt. And of course, as always, this planche for global Britain will not work. As we said just this week, crystal ball gazing, what they're trying to do has been tried before, and it's failed spectacularly because we just cannot compete against other countries and their industry. Full stop. So, Pale Horse, chances of Boris quitting before Christmas. Ooh, I don't think it'll be before Christmas. I think it'll be after. But if you remember, I have 3 departure dates for Boris at Christmas, either April, May time next year, or Boris somehow manages to survive up until the next election, but the Conservatives consider him too much of a risk and pull him before that election. So I do think you are right. I do think it's going to be after Christmas, though. And I think Johnson is going to have his George Bush moment. He's going to have his, mission accomplished. He's going to walk out of Downing Street. There's going to be fireworks. There'll be a little banner that just appears and says mission accomplished. Brexit's been done, when it really hasn't. I've said this before. This is just the end of the beginning. We have yet to start really getting into Brexit, and we will just find out what exactly it means for the country and the consequences that means. I mean, you saw this week just how angrily Brexiteers reacted when they found out they wouldn't be allowed through the fast passport queues. So trust me, there is a lot more stuff to come on Brexit. So, like I say, that appears to be it for today's questions. Unless anyone else has one that's still typing away furiously. So, anyway, thank you very, very much for joining me. We had a height of over 100 people today, 107 people I think it was today, the height was. So thank you very much for everyone for joining us. Like I say, please do hit that like button on your way out. It will help the channel grow. And of course, if you are new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button, because we do talk about British politics and of course Brexit as well. And I've often say, why is a Brit covering the US politics on this sometimes when it's not my wheelhouse? It's because Biden's election, it's just a matter of time. He will eventually get in, and of course, yes. And as Son of Viking just said, no llamas were harmed in the making of this video. It is a llama wool hat, though, directly from Peru. Thank you to my friend who gave it to me. It's absolutely fantastic, and I'll tell you what, it's warm as. I absolutely love this hat. It's so warm. Normally, at this point, like I say, my head is cold, my head is bare. I'll tell you what, my head is toasty warm today. So, there's ponies up here, So, tell you what, before we finally sign off, I'll show you all the ponies, because I know how much you love the ponies. But yeah, like I say, I do really hope that this whole election stuff is over and done with by next week. To be honest, next week I really hope to be starting off by going over Trump's concession speech, which I think if he ever does a concession speech is going to be fantastic, and we're going to have to definitely talk about it, because it will be absolutely fantastic. And of course, pony. So thank you as always, the people, for joining us today. It's been an absolutely fantastic walk. Please do again hit that like button on your way out. If you would like to support the channel, please do consider becoming my Patreon on Patreon. And also, if you want to just give me a one-off donation, there is a link down below for buy me a coffee, so you can buy me a coffee, because it's been quite cold today. And I'm definitely going to be getting a coffee and probably some porridge when I get home today, because it is a cold, very cold morning today. So, and also, if you are new, do hit that subscribe button as well to see more wonderful videos about Brexit and British politics, because I'll tell you what, the fun is just beginning. And if you're an American and you think this week and probably next week has been interesting. Oh boy, you haven't seen anything yet, especially in the UK. So, as always, have an absolutely fantastic weekend. An absolutely fantastic weekend. And as always, if you can't be safe, be sensible. Do stay inside, or and don't go outside, and do stay inside, and don't see people. All that stuff. Have a corker of a weekend. Do remember to check out my videos we've got coming next week. And of course, we'll see you next week for another Good Morning Walk. And hopefully, fingers crossed, this entire US election debacle, fingers crossed, should all be finished by then. So, have a corker of a weekend, and we'll see you all next time.